Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentry garage again. And so today this is going to be a doing day. So rather than me waffle on like I normally do, I'm going to be actually assembling for final time the driver's side front suspension. I've now fitted the turret here, which has now got the revised engine mounting bracket, which sets the engine back 3.5 inches. So this one's complete, sprayed and fitted. I've got the other side to do, but I should be getting that on Monday to fit. But today I thought I would show you how the front suspension goes together. I've got it all laid down there. So bits of work to do on it, but I'll show you what I'm doing as we go along. Okay, so let's crack on. Okay, see you in a minute. Bye. Right, back again. So the turret, as I was telling you about, is really the mounting point for all the front suspension. So you've got mounting here for the shock absorber, the top and bottom lower wishbones, and all the other bits and pieces, brakes, steering, etc. It all hangs really from this turret, which is bolted to the chassis here. You can see that there is, if I get down here, you might not be able to see it, but there's 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, and another bolt behind, totaling 5 bolts altogether to mount that turret to the chassis. So that's now all complete. This is the revised engine mounting, which was the bit which was putting me behind, really trying to make up a bracket for this to fit. Sounds easy enough, but the problem is really the close proximity of these webs here, and I had to solve a situation for that, which I've now done. So that's nicely welded on. The mounting itself, the rubber mounting, is now bolted to that bracket, so it's now ready for the engine mounting, which is, let's come around this side, which is this effort here. So that face there bolts to that rubber engine mounting. That was the original mounting here. So if you imagine this part here of the mounting was actually bolted here. So it's gone back 3.5 inches. So that takes care of that. Now down by my feet, sorry about all the traffic, we've got the high street closed at the moment, and so all the traffic has been diverted up our road. It's a real pain. So down below here is all the bits and pieces for the front suspension. So we've got, it's pretty obvious what I've got. The dust shield there, disc brake, upper wishbone, lower wishbone, stub axle, steering arm. That's the adapter for the brake and hub. And what else? Oh yeah, obviously the spring. That's the spring top mount here. And the first thing I've got to do is to mount these. Now these are 2 brackets which hold the lower suspension arm. So you've got one side and one the other side of the suspension arm. And then these are 4 shims, and you get 2 shims per side, which have to be inserted between the bracket and the chassis, and that gives you an angle. And the reason why they do shims is because in the manufacturing part of the chassis you get a little bit of discrepancy at the factory. So what they do, they put either 1, 2 or 3 shims in. This chassis has got 2 shims for each one, both sides, so that's the way that's going to go back together. it will make sense once I've started fitting it. Okay, so I'll do that now and get back to you. There are two styles of brackets which go on the chassis. That's for the front, and that one is for the back. So this one goes here and this one goes at the front. So we will put the rear one on first. I'll say this is for the lower arm. And we have to put the shims on as well. And you have to remember that this is a car from the 1970s, so all threads on this are AF, not metric. So this has all been sprayed in satin black, including the shims. So there's two of those which slot in together over the top. I'm just going to go and do these up reasonably tight, but not too tight that I can't position them more accurately when I put the control arm on. So that goes right the way through the chassis. And the other two shims here for the front, and that just bulks it out that much to give you a slight angle like that, a toe out, sorry, not a toe out, it's the caster angle here which comes out. So I'm only going to do these up, just snag it up, because obviously I want those aligning correctly for when I put the wishbone on. Then I can tighten it all up together. Boring. It's got a long thread on it. Right, that's just about right. It just gives me enough movement to align it. So that's the rear. So now we do the front. Now the reason why I'm showing you all this is because this is final assembly. You've seen me doing it all as dry assembly, primarily because I didn't know where stuff went. It was just a big pile of a box of bits. So it was a case of searching through it, figuring it out, looking at diagrams within the Haynes manual, videos, all sorts of things, just to try and find out where everything goes. So that was the dry fit. This is now permanent. This is not coming back off again, which is exciting. That means that, you know, it's going to be, it's the next stage, it's the assembly stage. Okay, so the shims have been pushed down as far as they will go, snapped into position nicely. So that's the brackets on. So the next thing I've got to do is to put the top wishbones on these. Now they are separate pieces, so they will go in there like that. So that's the next stage. Now I've got to do these first because the bolt here, put that one down a minute, this bolt has to feed in from the inside. Let's move that camera back a bit so you can see it. See what I'm talking about now? So that bolt has to feed in from inside the turret. Now if I put the spring in first and the shock absorber, I won't be able to put the bolt in. So I've got to put this in first, and then I can then put the spring and shock absorber in, and then I can mount the lower wishbone. These are just in zinc plate at the moment, so I'm going to have to go and undercoat them, spray them, and come back to you. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute. Bye for now. Bye. Hello again. Right, change of plan. I've done a job which I was really putting off doing, and that was replacing the bearings on the hubs, front hubs. I've never done that before, not on a Triumph Vitesse anyway, and that's the hub where you bolt the wheel onto, and it has two bearings, one inner and one outer. So if you imagine that's the face where the wheel sits, so that's the inner bearing, and that's the outer bearing, and that's the inner bearing. I've actually taken those out now, and it was really quite an easy job, because what they do, if you look, just try and do it upside down, just there, don't know if you can see there, you can see there's a little notch, and there's one the other side too. So what you can do, you can get a punch, and in that notch you can just keep punching either side, and it knocks the bearing out like that. So that's the outer part of the bearing, and that is the bearing itself. Now these bearings, although they look mucky, are actually quite good. The only thing about them was that there was no seal left. That's been eaten up somewhere along the line. But anyway, like I do with all this project, I don't take chances. Mainly bearings and seals I will replace, whether they seem alright or don't. Might be a waste of money, but for the price of these bearings, it really isn't worth the hassle. It's far easier for me to do it at this stage than it is when it's all on the car and I've got to strip it down, and I've got the wings in the way and the suspension. It's so much easier for me to do it this way. Anyway, obviously this is just my method. I'm not telling you how to do it or what you should do, it's just what I'm doing. So now I've got the lovely job of replacing both bearings with the new ones. So this one comes in two halves. So you've got the outer part of the bearing plus the bearing itself, which sits in like so. So the way you've got to do it, you place the outer shell of the bearing over the top, and it's got a radius just there. It's got a radius, but not on that side, and that radius gives you the start of being able to pop it in. These are all what they call interference fits, and you literally put the outer bearing shell in the area it's got to go, like so, and you can already see that it started to actually go in. What I've got to do now is to knock that in fully into the recess so that as it goes in, it will then eventually stop. This is the bit I think I'm going to have trouble on because I just haven't got the tools. So I'm going to have to adapt, and I thought, well, what I could do is use the old one, place it over the top like so, and then that will take that down a certain way anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. So all I need to do is give it some little taps, and I haven't got my hammer. Bear with me. Alright, you can all stop talking amongst yourselves now. I'm back. David, Richard, what have I just said? I said stop talking. Okay? Just look, just concentrate. Otherwise you'll be asking me questions afterwards. Okay? Right. So let's get tapping. Take your time. And yeah, it's going down. Surprise, surprise. I think I'll just pop that in a bit of wood. In it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good year this year?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Apple pie for
Yeah,
lunch tomorrow.
exactly. Apple crumble.
I'll take them all, is that alright?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll put them in the basket there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Sorry about that. That was one of our neighbours just taking all the windfall apples. Yep, that's going down nicely. I think I'm going to have to turn it over. I've still got quite a way to go actually. See, if this was a garage, they'd have a nice hydraulic press and all the right tools. But me, being me in a garage, home garage, I've got bugger all. Not far off now. That's about as far as I dare go, so the only thing I can do now is with my punch to tap it down very carefully. And you can hear it when it actually reaches the bottom. as you can tell from the inside. Now this looks brutal hitting it with this, but these are very hard, these casings. And that is home and dry. So lovely jubbly. Yep, perfect. Right, so that's one side. So if we turn it over, and we've got the other side to do now. So again, with the radius, this side here going downwards, just make sure it's central. A few taps. Just to get it started. It's going down nicely. Almost there. There. Can you hear that? That sounds quite different now. That's reached the bottom. That's solid. Just give it a check. Yep. That's right the way home. Couple more taps for luck. Perfect. Right, try that. That's it. Right, so this is the stub axle, and this is what everything hangs on, really. The hub, this fits onto that fits up onto the upper wishbone, this section, that fits onto the lower wishbone, and then your brake caliper with the adapter plate plus this all hangs from that. So what we can do is just check it. If I take those two bolts out, because they'll get in the way. And that is a job which I was dreading, purely because I just didn't think I had the tools to do it. It just shows you how wrong you can be. Okay, so the next thing is the seal, and that goes on the inside with the still facing cap downwards against the flat surface. This is just a temporary fix just to see how these bearings go. So I've got to grease all these yet. There we go. Not wrong with that. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, right. So I can put that to one side now. And forget it until I'm ready for it. This is really probably the last bit to go on out of the whole lot. So I can put that there, that there, that over there, and that over there. No, I won't. I'll bring it back. I'll take that seal off and put that nut back on until I'm ready. So in the kit I had 2 bearings plus the seal plus a new split pin and some very important grease for when I come to pack it. Now I'm going to keep those 2 outer rings because they're going to come in handy. But what I can do is throw the old bearings and the old seal. I don't need those. Job done. Okay, so now what we can do is to fit the 2 upper wishbones. So that's the next job. So bear with me, I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. So now we're going to be putting the top wishbones on in there. I've already put new poly bushes in, and they're all sprayed and ready for assembly. So we should be all back from our break. I can see there's 2 empty spaces. Obviously still chatting. So no doubt they will come in late. I will carry on with that one though, and I'll just have to catch up. So what I've got is all new, brand new bolts, nuts, washers, ready for assembly. So what I did, I bought a kit of all the bolts, nuts and washers for the front and rear suspension. So everything is brand spanking new. And don't forget what I said, that I'm not going to be tightening these up until the car is sitting on the ground. I'll just nip them so that the weight of the car will get all the suspension in the correct position, and then when that's all done I can then at the last minute go around and torque all this lot up to the correct specification. So let's put the first one in. So what I need is a bit of grease on the bolt. Then I should be able to feed that through. Once I can line it up, that is. There we go. That's the first one. Now if I zoom in, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but just here on both sides there are 2 little tabs, and these tabs are the right size apart to hold the head of the bolt like that. So that what happens is, as you're tightening it up, because the spring's going to be here, this bolt, if it turns or wants to turn, it can't, because it's going to be trapped between those 2 tabs. So it's nicely thought out. So I'll put this one back. Same process. Alright, Right, those two have just come back from their break. Right, boys. That's it, so they're in. Just a washer and a lock nut, nylock nuts. Same this side. And then get the spanner. And so we just nip it up now. As you can see, the bolt is not turning because it's trapped in between here. Alright, that's just starting to nip. Back it up a bit. Same with this. And these are 9/16 AF bolts. Okay, that will do in a moment. So, horrible job now. That is putting the shock absorber and spring on. And what I've got to do there is to assemble the shock absorber inside the spring and then compress the spring and insert it through this hole. And because I've got, I don't know why that is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take that off because that's creaking. I haven't got the correct spring compressor. I have got a spring compressor and I'm just hoping that it's going to work. I'm going to have to put some grease inside that bush. Try that. That's better. Perfect. So I'll put the grease on the bolt, but not the bush. So I'm going to take this one off again and do the same thing. What I don't want is squeaky suspension. Perfect. Right. Just get me tissue. Wipe some of this excess grease away. Good. Tell you what, I'll be glad when that high street opens. Traffic is just terrible. Right, so that ends that part at the moment. So there's the two top wishbones. Complete and sprayed. So what I've got to do now is to assemble the shock absorber and spring. Okay, this should be fun. Right, see you in a minute. Right, welcome back. And so as you can see, what I've got is the shock absorber inserted inside the now compressed spring, and these two things here are the spring compressors. And what I've done is that I've then inserted the two top bushes here at the top and tightened the locking nut down to such an extent that the rubber, let me hold it up, the rubber here is approximately the same size as that washer, retaining washer at the top. That's repeated below. So now that's held into position, what I can do is now start releasing these spring compressors in the hope and vein that it doesn't shoot across the garage a zillion miles an hour, which is the scary thing about it all. So that's what I need to do now. So wish me luck, and hopefully it won't go boing. Once I've released it, the hardest part really is releasing these from the spring, because they overlap and they're a bastard to get off. They really are. Not the ideal compressors to use, but that's all I've got. If that's all I've got, that's all I can use. So here we go. as I said, wish me luck, because I should bloody need it. And you have to do this a little bit at a time, from side to side. Just gradually release it. I can already feel them starting to get loose. Oh, please don't hurtle across the garage. What's happening, I can see what's happening, is that these two here are compressing these three parts of the spring. So I think what I'm going to have to do is tighten this up more. God, I hate this job. It's really not funny. I'm not even sure that's working, to be honest. Let's do the other thing. Let's bring it back a bit. My probably phone's going crazy. I'm just waiting for that horrendous bang. Yeah, I think that's working. Doing it this way. Do you know what? I'm going to switch the camera off because I'm going to wait until I've done this, because you're going to be sitting there waiting and waiting. I don't want you to get bored, so I'm going to shut the camera off, and once I've got these two off, I'll switch it back on again. And I really don't want you to see the sight of blood, I really don't. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. Ta-da! Literally about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes after I shut the camera down, I should have had more faith in myself. They came off. So I now have a complete shock absorber and spring assembly, which I can now mount. So I will move the camera and we'll get it mounted. Okay, see you in a minute. Right, hopefully you can see that reasonably well from there. So what I've done, I've put some grease around the top here where this locates. Just got to orientate this properly. It's that position there, I think. All you have to do is poke that up there for the moment. Put a couple of washers and nuts on it to support it. It should be nice if you guys, one of you, could hold this for me while I put it on. No? Well, come on guys, give me a hand here. Okay, I'll do it myself then. Right. Move those up and out. And now we should be able to screw that on. Just hope this comes up, because that washer, rubber washer, is expanded quite a bit. Job done. Alright, so what I need to do now is turn this back there. Perfect. Right. So I think I'll call it a day now. I don't know how long this video is at the moment, but it's probably quite long. So I'll close the video down now, and I'll do another one tomorrow, whereby I can fit the lower wishbone and the stub axle and the brakes. Big tractor going past. Crazy. Right, so that's a good job done today. That's a fair bit done. So I'm pleased with that. Okay, I will see you tomorrow for part 2 of the front assembly. suspension assembly. Getting there. And the great thing is I'm not going to be taking this off again. So until tomorrow, I will see you then. Okay, so bye for now, and stay safe. Bye bye.